my favorite philosophers is Friedrich Nietzsche. He's a highly polarizing figure. Often, when Nietzsche's name comes up in conversation, eyebrows begin to rise from people on both sides of the ideological spectrum. Some dismiss him as dangerous. Others misunderstand him entirely. And it doesn't matter if it's from a science-based background or a religious-based background. And ironically, that's exactly what drew me to him. Whenever someone manages to make people on opposite sides uncomfortable, I become curious. I want to know what they actually said, not what everyone else says about them. So that's what we're gonna do today. Not the caricature, not the quote ripped out of context and slapped onto some kind of viral meme. The actual philosophy, the questions this man spent his life trying to force us to ask. Because here's the thing about Nietzsche that gets lost in all the noise. He wasn't trying to build a following. He was trying to dismantle one. Specifically, yours. Nietzsche has been called a nihilist, a fascist, an atheist prophet, a proto-existentialist, and a crazy man who lost his mind scribbling in the margins of history. He's been quoted by tyrants and by therapists, misused by extremists and studied by monks. That kind of range doesn't happen by accident. It happens because Nietzsche wrote in a way that resists easy summary deliberately. Didn't write systems. He wrote provocations, aphorisms, parables. He wanted you to wrestle with the text, not memorize it. And that's exactly why he's so easy to misread. You can pull almost any line out of his work, strip away the context, and make it say whatever you want it to say. But if you sit with him, really sit with him, a consistent thread starts to emerge. And it's not cruelty. It's not even domination. It's this. Nietzsche wasn't interested in giving people comfortable answers. He wanted to challenge assumptions, all of them, including the ones you didn't know you were carrying. Most of us go through life on borrowed beliefs. We inherit them from our parents, our culture, our religion, our political tribe, the algorithm that feeds us content at 2 a.m. We rarely built these beliefs ourselves brick by brick through our own reasoning. We just absorb them. And most of the time, we never step to ask whether they are actually ours. Nietzsche wanted to interrupt that process, not to leave you with nothing, but to make sure that whatever you end up believing, you believe because you examined it, not because it was handed to you. That's the real reason he makes people uncomfortable. It has nothing to do with which side of a debate you're on. It has everything to do with whether you're willing to look honestly at your own assumptions. And most people aren't. Nietzsche knew that. This brings us to one of Nietzsche's sharpest and most enduring criticisms, what he called herd mentality. And this is perhaps one of the areas where Nietzsche gets misread the most. People assume this was primarily an attack on religion, and it wasn't. Religion was just one target among many, a visible, historically dominant example of the pattern he was really after. What Nietzsche was actually diagnosing was much broader and frankly much more relevant to your life and mine than any single institution. He believed that any institution can become dogmatic the moment people stop questioning any of them. It doesn't matter whether it's built on scripture or on data, on tradition or on progress, scientific consensus. Content of the belief isn't what makes it dangerous. What makes it dangerous is the absence of thought behind it. People can blindly follow religious institutions. They can blindly follow political movements. They can blindly follow governments. And as we saw only a few years ago, they can blindly follow scientific institutions, media narratives, popular opinion, entire cultural consensus, without ever pausing to ask, wait, do I actually believe this? Or have I just stopped questioning it? Nietzsche believed truth should never be accepted merely because it comes from authority. Not the authority of a priest, not the authority of a politician, not the authority of a quote-unquote expert, a headline, or a crowd of people nodding along in unison. Authority can be a starting point of inquiry. It should never be the end of it. There's a way to say this that I think captures the heart of what he meant. The herd isn't defined by what it believes. It is defined by the fact that it refuses to think for itself. Listen to that again for a second and sit with it. It means two people can hold completely opposite opinions and both still be part of the herd if neither of them actually examines why they believe what they believe. The herd isn't a political category. It isn't a specific ideology. It's a posture, a way of relating to your own beliefs. You can find it on every side of every argument that has ever existed. Because it isn't about content. It's about whether a mind is actually doing the work of thinking or simply repeating. I want to be really clear about something because it matters. Nietzsche's challenge applies equally to every ideology. This isn't a philosophy that lets you off the hook because you happen to belong to the right group at the right time. It doesn't matter whether your beliefs are old or new, popular or rebellious, mainstream or fringe. If you arrived at them without scrutiny, you are still standing in the herd. Even if you're standing at the very edge of it, congratulating yourself for being different. This isn't a video about today's headlines, and I'm not going to turn it into one. Nietzsche's insight isn't about any particular controversy of our era. It's much older than that, and it will outlive whatever we are all arguing about this week. It's a timeless mirror, and that's what makes it awesome. It asks the same question no matter what century you hold it up in. Did you think this through, or did you simply agree? Once you understand Nietzsche's critique of the herd, his next idea starts to make a lot more sense. Because if you're not supposed to simply absorb the values handed to you by your culture, then what are you supposed to do instead? This is where Nietzsche introduces one of his most famous and most misunderstood concepts, the Übermensch, often translated as the Overman or Superman, a word that has been hijacked by everyone from bodybuilders to authoritarians looking for a philosophical costume to wear. Let's clear something up. The Übermensch is not about domination over others. It was never about ruling over people, crushing the weak, or proving your superiority to the world. That reading says far more about the people who adopted it than it does about the philosophy itself. What Nietzsche actually meant was something quieter, and honestly, something much harder. The Übermensch represents becoming the highest version of yourself. Not a superior being who looks down on humanity. A human being who refuses to remain unfinished out of fear or laziness or comfort. It's the practice of self-overcoming, the willingness to confront your weakness instead of hiding them behind excuses. It's discipline, the quiet, unglamorous work of showing up for your own growth on the days you don't even feel like it. It's creating your own values instead of inheriting them wholesale. Examining what you actually believe is worth pursuing, rather than what you were told to pursue. It's accepting responsibility for your life instead of outsourcing blame to your parents, your circumstances, your bad luck. It's refusing to become a victim of circumstance, not by pretending hardship doesn't exist, but by refusing to let hardship become your entire identity. And underneath all of it, it's continual personal evolution. The understanding that you are never a finished project. Think of it like climbing a mountain that never truly ends. There's no summit where you plant a flag and declare yourself complete. Every ridge you climb reveals another one behind it. And that can sound discouraging at first. What's the point of climbing it if you never arrive? But Nietzsche would tell you that you are asking the wrong question. Because becoming is more important than arriving. A person who thinks they've made it spiritually, morally, intellectually, is usually the person who has stopped growing. The Übermensch isn't a destination you reach and then relax into. It's a direction you keep walking toward, one honest decision at a time for the rest of your life. It's less a finish line and more of a compass, something that orients you even though you'll never fully arrive at what it points to. And maybe that's actually a more hopeful version of this idea. You don't have to have your life figured out today. You just have to be moving honestly, deliberately toward becoming someone slightly more disciplined, slightly more responsible, slightly more awake than you were yesterday. Now, we get to the point where I consider Nietzsche's most haunting, most beautiful idea. Call this eternal recurrence. I actually want you to think about this one. Don't just let it pass by as an interesting concept. Feel it. Let it consume you. Swim in it. Here's a thought experiment, roughly as Nietzsche presented it. Imagine one quiet night, a demon slips into your loneliest hour and whispers this to you. You must live this exact life again. Every joy, every heartbreak, every mistake, every embarrassment, every success. Forever. Not a different life. Not an improved version with the mistakes edited out and the good parts highlighted. This exact life. Every argument you've ever had. Every time you bit your tongue when you should have spoken up. Every sunrise you actually noticed. And every one you slept through. Scrolling on your phone, wasting time. All of it. Repeating it. Endlessly. Identically. Pause for a moment and let that settle. Would you celebrate that news? Or would it crush you? That's it. That's the whole question. That's the entire weight of eternal recurrence, resting on your shoulders in a single moment. Now, it's important to understand what Nietzsche was and wasn't doing here. Wasn't necessarily making a claim about the actual structure of the universe, like some literal cosmological theory about time looping back on itself. Scholars still debate how seriously he meant it as physics. That misses the entire point, because the power of the idea doesn't depend on it being literally true. Instead, he was presenting a question capable of transforming how we live. It's a diagnostic tool, a gut check, a reality check. Because the way you answer that question reveals something you might otherwise spend your whole life avoiding. Whether you actually respect the life you are living, or whether you are just tolerating it. while you wait for something better to arrive. Eternal recurrence forces us to examine things we usually keep stored safely out of view. Procrastination. Because if this day repeats forever, every postponed conversation, every start tomorrow becomes an eternal postponement, resentment. Because carrying the same grudge, the same anger through infinite repetitions of your life sounds like justice and more like a prison you built for yourself. Fear. Because if you're going to relive this moment forever anyway, what exactly are you protecting yourself from by staying small? Comfort? Because the idea exposes how much of our lives is spent avoiding discomfort rather than pursuing meaning. Courage. Because somewhere in that question is an invitation to finally do the one thing you've been afraid to do. And purpose. Because eternal recurrence quietly asks whether the life you are living actually feels like yours or like something you've rigged into by default. Let me make this less abstract, because I think it's easy to nod along with a big philosophical idea and still walk away unchanged. So let's bring it down to ordinary life. Kind of thing that doesn't feel dramatic in the moment, but adds up to an entire existence if left unexamined. Choosing not to tell someone you love them and telling yourself there will be another chance, another day when the timing feels right. Working a job you hate year after year only because it's stable, because it's quote unquote familiar, because leaving feels riskier than staying miserable. Constantly waiting for quote unquote someday I'll travel, someday I'll start the business, someday I'll make that change. As if someday is a place on the calendar rather than a decision you keep refusing to make today. Allowing fear to dictate your choices quietly, so gradually that you don't even notice fear is the one driving anymore. Rolling endlessly instead of creating the one resource you can never get back. Your attention, content you won't even remember by tomorrow. Now imagine each of those not as an isolated bad habit, but as something you'd have to live through again and again for eternity. If the thought of living today forever fills someone with dread, perhaps something needs to change. Not necessarily something enormous, always a complete life overhaul. Sometimes it could be something small. A conversation you have been avoiding, an apology you owe, a boundary you need to set, a creative project gathering dust because you are afraid it won't be good enough. Eternal recurrence doesn't ask you to imagine some distant, hypothetical future. It asks you to look honestly at today, right now. This ordinary Tuesday or Saturday or whatever day it happens to be when you are listening to this. Would you be willing to live it exactly forever? And if not, why are you living it at all? This naturally leads us to the phrase that Nietzsche didn't invent, but made unmistakably his own. Amor fati. Although the phrase became closely associated with Nietzsche, it actually has earlier roots in Stoic philosophy. You can trace echoes of it back to thinkers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius. Centuries before Nietzsche picked up the thread and wove it into his own philosophy. The Stoics understood something that Nietzsche would later sharpen into a personal creed. You don't get to choose everything that happens to you, but you always get to choose how you relate to it, how you react to it. Amor fati means love of one's fate, not merely tolerating it, not gritting your teeth and enduring it because you have no other option. Loving it, actively, deliberately choosing to embrace what has happened to you as necessary material and fuel for who you are becoming. This is a much higher bar than simple acceptance. Acceptance says, fine, deal with it. Amor fati says something bolder. Wouldn't erase this, even if I could. Even if the painful parts, especially the painful parts that just consume you. That doesn't mean pretending suffering feels good. Doesn't mean smiling through grief or minimizing real loss. Nietzsche understood suffering intimately. His own life was marked by chronic illness, isolation, and heartbreak. Amor fati isn't naive optimism dressed up in philosophical language. Something closer to this. Embracing both triumph and suffering as a necessary ingredients for growth. Recognizing that the version of you capable of wisdom, depth, and resilience was forged, at least in part, by the very difficulties you might wish had never happened. Take away the hardship, and you might also take away the person who learned to stand back up. Amor fati is the emotional counterpart to eternal recurrence. If you are going to imagine living your life again and again forever, then loving your fate isn't an option. It's the only way that endless repetition becomes something to welcome instead of something to dread. But let's step back and look at the whole shape of what we've covered. Because these ideas were never meant to live in separate boxes. They were meant to work together like the three legs of the same stool. It starts with rejecting herd mentality, refusing to accept beliefs simply because they arrived repackaged from an authority, a crowd, or a comfortable consensus. That's the foundation. Without it, everything else collapses into borrowed thinking. From there, it moves into striving toward the Übermensch, taking responsibility for actually building a self deliberately through discipline and honest self-examination, rather than drifting through life on autopilot. That's the direction. Mountain you keep climbing, not because you'll ever finish, but because becoming is the entire point. And finally, it asks you to live as though eternal recurrence were true, treating each day with the weight and reverence of something you'd be willing to relive forever. And when it isn't yet worthy of that, having the courage to change it. That's the urgency. Thing that keeps the whole philosophy from staying comfortably theoretical. Reject the herd, and you clear the space to think for yourself. Strive toward the Übermensch, and you give that freedom a direction, something to build instead of just tearing down. Live as though today would repeat forever, and you give the whole project urgency, because suddenly, someday isn't good enough anymore. Pick away any of these three, and the philosophy weakens. Reject the herd without striving toward anything, and you're left with empty rebellion for its own sake. Strive towards self-improvement without ever questioning the herd, and you're just optimizing yourself inside a cage you never examined. Embrace eternal recurrence without the other two, and it becomes a nice thought experiment with no teeth. Together, they form something whole, a way of living that is examined, directed, and urgent all at once. Whether Nietzsche was right about everything isn't really the point. Great philosophers aren't meant to give us all the answers. They're meant to ask questions that refuse to leave us alone. I don't know what your particular version of the herd looks like. I don't know which belief you've been carrying without ever really examining it, or which conversation you've been postponing, or which fear has been quietly making your decisions for you while you weren't even paying attention. But I know this. If today were the day you'd have to live again and again for eternity, what would you change? And more importantly, what's stopping you from changing it right now? If this resonated, if this hit, share it. If you really enjoyed it, Smash that subscribe button. Follow me everywhere. We're building something real here. Stay grounded, stay sharp, and stay unshakable.